Hi. I wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit about helping your child with note reading at home. I have gotten many questions. I always get lots of questions about how to help your child with reading notes at home. So I want to provide a couple of tips today. I know you noticed the dinosaurs in the background there. This is my son's room. I am hiding out in his room because my children are at home, and the way my house is, basically, this was the quietest corner I can find. So just enjoy the dinosaurs. Okay. The first tip that I want to tell parents about in terms of note reading is that you have to do it consistently. It isn't something that you do it now, you feel like your child's gotten better at it, and then you take a break, because then they're going to regress again. So it's something that you have to do continuously. Now, even if you stop, if you've had a crazy week or two, it's okay. That'll be okay, but just remember to pick it back up again. I also recommend when you work on notes with your child, don't do lots of notes at once. Depending on their age, sometimes even 1 or 2 note recognition can take a while. But I would say between the ages of like 4 and 7, you maybe want to do like 5 notes at once. If they're on the younger side, between like 4 to 6, maybe even 3 notes at once. And of course, as they get older, you can do, more notes at once. I also like the idea of having base notes. So some base notes would be certain notes that they can always identify. Like, for instance, middle C. They should always be able to identify middle C. Or if you notice as they're reading their notes, they always get another note, one of these notes correct, then that can be their base note. There's no right or wrong on which base note you want to use, just one that you know is easy to identify. So I've used middle C. I like to use treble G. I also like to use bass F, because those are things that you can use the music staff to help identify quickly. I also like to use E in the right hand, treble E as a bass note, because it's the note on the first line. So I find that pretty easy to identify. And so the way I would train students or even my children is, what's on the first line? It's E. So remember, every time you see a note that's on the first line, this is E. And you have to kind of keep asking that question, what's on the first line? And you keep doing that. I have to say I'm not the biggest fan with mnemonics. Not saying you can't use it, and certainly some of our teachers use it to help students learn, but I am not a fan of relying on mnemonics to kind of help them identify a note. Because if you have to say the entire phrase to get to the note, you're not identifying that note on the spot. You're still saying the whole phrase to get to that note. Now, what you can probably use with mnemonics is say the phrase and have them identify what that note is, and then remind them, okay, next time, remember, this is here. Try not to use the phrase next time. Remember, this is here. So that's probably how I would use mnemonics. Every child is a little bit different, so you can kind of gauge what is best to do with your child in that sense. I am also a fan of saying the notes out loud as you play. If you cannot say the notes as you play, it means you're not comfortable reading the notes. And a lot of students fight it. They fight it just like how they fight counting and playing at the same time. And so if they tell you they can't do it, it's not because they can't do it. It's because it's uncomfortable for them to say the note names and play at the same time. So you want to start a little bit, maybe just like 4 notes at once where they can successfully identify the notes, say it, and play it at the same time. Don't expect them to do all of it at once. Here comes the fun part that the students usually like, which is apps. There are apps you can use and that you can install on the go. Most of these apps I know are usually on an Apple product, not as many on Android. But one of it that I'm talking about today, I believe also you can install on Android. Flashnote Derby is my favorite. It's like this little horse race thing that they do. You can decide which notes you want your child to work on. You can decide how quickly you want your child to work on it. So that's a really good one. My note games is another one that is, it's more by level. So your child has to be proficient. They have to feel like you're good at this level yet before they let you pass to the next level, which can be very fun for children because they want to move on to the next level quickly. You can always do the old-fashioned flashcards as well. That's what I used to recommend before apps come into play. And flashcards are very helpful too. Okay, if you ever have any other questions, feel free to let us know. We're always happy to help, and happy reading.